Hey everyone, and welcome back to the NintendoFuse Podcast. This is episode 229, entitled "Catching Up Before E3 2021." Because we've been gone for a little bit. I don't know if you noticed, but maybe your YouTube algorithms, you're like, maybe they just stopped showing these videos, or maybe you're like, what happened with the whole like podcast thing? We've actually been gone for the last month, but not completely gone. We've still been around, but we haven't done this podcast in a month, so there's a lot to catch up with over the last month that we've got a lot to talk about. But of course, I am not here alone. My name is Steve, but to join me in the discussion, as always, Barry. Hey, Barry, how's it going?
Hey, Steve, it's fantastic to be back. What a month. It feels like a part of me was missing by us not coming together and just chatting, video games. So it's awesome to be back.
Absolutely, yeah. And of course, also joining us is Greg. Greg, how's your last month been?
It's been pretty good. I had some nice time off. Got to travel, which I don't know if I'd be able to do since 2019. So that's always was much appreciated, and definitely had some time to catch up on plenty of games. So it's great to be back, and absolutely happy to be back.
Nice. Well, as we said, tonight we're going to be talking a lot about all the news and stuff that's happened over this last month as we get ready to head into E3 season, which is kind of crazy because we didn't have E3 last year. This little thing happened. I don't know if you knew about it. There was a pandemic, like global pandemic. So E3 got canceled last year. We had some different stuff going on, but we actually have an E3. It's going to be digital this year, of course, but we are actually having one. So we're going to talk about the next two episodes, just kind of give you a heads up where we're going in the next couple episodes. We're going to make some predictions next episode and kind of talk about what we're expecting about E3. And then the next one after that, we're actually going to react to all the stuff that we learned about at E3 2021, because we are going back to our every other week schedule. So that's just a heads up, kind of a housekeeping sort of thing. So moving forward for the foreseeable future, you guys will expect a new episode every other week for the future. So we're kind of thanks for hanging with us when we did the every week episodes, but we are going to go back to the every other week moving forward. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing moving forward. So that's why predictions next time, and then reactions the episode after that. But of course, that's not the only place for you guys to hear our thoughts. If you have not joined our Discord yet, please make sure to join our Discord, because you guys can talk with us about video games anytime you want right there in Discord. And also join us on social media, because if you haven't done that yet, we just absolutely love for you guys to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Just search for @NintendoFuse, and it'd be a great way for you guys to connect with us online in between episodes. So thank you guys so much, of course, for joining the live audience. We've got some people joining us in our chat. Jarrett is there, Jakester's there, and some other people that are chatting already. So thank you guys so much for joining us in the live chat. If you haven't done so yet, we do record on Tuesday evenings at 8:30 Eastern time, and then 5:30 Pacific time. And we'd love for you guys to join in the discussion. Anything that we talk about, we'd love to know what your thoughts are. And yeah, you're just kind of that fourth member of our podcast team is our live chat. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you haven't done so yet, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and share this with other Nintendo fans that are out there. But with all that being said, let's jump into what we have been playing. And I know we do have a month to talk about. So what have you guys been playing over this last month? Also, of course, let us know in the chat what you guys have been playing. Also in the comments later, let us know as well. So Barry, what have you been up to over this last month?
Wow, this month was a busy month. It was I didn't expect it to be as busy, because I really was like, I'm between marathons, and there weren't big releases, so it's going to be pretty easy. And I started off with Animal Crossing, still doing that, getting my points daily from the Switch app, and then getting the items in game, and just doing some daily stuff. Nothing big, but more maintenance. Last time I was still playing Hades, and I went through a couple more runs. I beat it 3 times. Uh, a lot of fun. It just got to the point where I'm like, all right, I feel like I don't want to continue anymore. Like, I'm sure there's more story going through, but I got it 3 times. I feel pretty confident in enjoying the game, and I feel I got my money's worth. It is a great game. I also started playing The Longing, which we will be discussing more in detail in a little bit, so I won't go into that further. Blue Fire, which was a game done like Hades for the playcast I'm on, which is a 3D third-person action-adventure open-world game similar to Zelda, and where it has like little shrines, which are like which are like platforming puzzles. They're like 3D platforming arenas that are very similar to the shrines in Breath of the Wild, or the vaults in Immortal Phoenix Rising. And it's a cool world. If you like those style games, you might enjoy it. However, be prepared to be lost. The game doesn't tell you where to go, and you can easily go quite far without getting necessary, abilities and have to backtrack. And there's no map, so it is a little daunting there. For my personal shot, what I wanted to do, because we were getting a sequel this year, I figured for a nice little mini marathon, I'd do The World Ends With You. So I did the final mix, which is the one on Switch. And I really enjoyed the story. I absolutely hated the combat. I know on the DS it was a really cool touchscreen and using the D-pad, like top bottom combat. On the Switch, combat is hot garbage. If you are playing it docked, which is what I started to do, you have to use a Joy-Con and only a Joy-Con, one singular Joy-Con, and you have to point to the screen and tap what you want to, hit and drag and go like this. And I felt like I was playing a bad Wii game. Like, it just felt terrible, to the point that I actually took my Switch off the dock and played the rest of it handheld, where I figured I can, use my left hand to move with the analog stick, while the right hand I would use the stylus. Oh, no, no, no. Because when you take it handheld, all controls stop and it's 100% stylus. So instead of going like this, I'm going like this, just like scraping along with the stylus, because I actually got a stylus. Or my fingers were like red at parts because it was like friction. I was like, oh my god, just trying to beat some bosses. I beat the game.
That reminds me of like early iPhone days, and like
Yes.
the games that were out there. Like, how fast can you unroll this digital piece of toilet paper? People are just like this the whole time. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So the game is definitely not optimized for the Switch, because it did involve 2 screens originally. However, the story is really cool. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I played it, and I am looking forward to the sequel. I would probably recommend you play the DS original, even without the HD visuals. But if the Switch is the only thing you have and you want to give it a try, by all means do it. I mean, I did it myself. The next game I did after that, I was going to start a marathon, and I was like, everyone keeps telling me, you like visual novels, you need to play World End Syndrome. So I'm like, all right. And this is one of those cases where I actually got the digital version. And I got the digital version because I have the physical. It only came out in Japan and Europe. I have the European. And I was going to open it, but I'm like, did this ever come out in America? And upon checking it, I realized the physical version is now $150 to $200. And I'm like, holy crap. What is it digitally? $10? Okay. I'm going to buy it digitally. It's a case of video games just skyrocketing out of nowhere. But it is a visual novel. It's a very open-ended visual novel. Really cool mystery, really cool story. It is, however, probably the worst visual novel to play without a guide. Because I played and I didn't use a guide, and I was like, things are great, and then I got the worst ending. I'm like, how did I get the worst ending? And apparently you have to play this game 5 times to get the truth, and 5 different endings. And the reason you need a guide is pretty much you get a map of like, here's all these places in this town you can go every day. You get 3 times a day. You get morning, afternoon, night. And in order to get each of the endings, you need to follow a character. Was 5 different characters you can follow, and you see their lives and you see their truths, and each time it reveals a little bit more about the truth of the mystery going on, because it's a mystery novel. But the problem is these characters are in one of those locations, but you don't know unless you've previously seen it. And if like you've seen it on another playthrough, it'll pop up and let you know this character's here. But if you don't know, it's all trial and error every time. Let me go here. Nope. Reload. Let me go here. Reload. I didn't feel like doing that. Use a guide. Just enjoy the story. It's a great story. I recommend it for that reason, but use a guide. The next playcast game we did, which was Return One Way Trip, which we just recorded that one. That one's like a 16-bit Maniac Mansion style spooky game, but involving like time travel and like hauntings, but it's not like terribly scary. You can't die. It's a lot of puzzles. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. My biggest problem with that is that in order to get the whole story, you need to play the sequel, which isn't out yet. They literally don't tell you everything you need to know. All the questions they ask you in the game don't get resolved. So that's a little bit of a nitpick, but it is a fun adventure if the point and click style game is your thing. And then finally on the Switch, I am currently playing Savage Halloween, which is our next playcast game. It is a 2D run and gun style game where you play different Halloween characters, and like the story is like the Halloween, like almost like if you think Nightmare Before Christmas, like Halloween Town comes out every Halloween, and they decide, you know what, screw it, we're gonna stay out now, and you got to like shoot them and try and stop them and put them back to Halloween Town. It's not a scary game. The levels are long and they're very varied. Like one level you're like a shmup, another one it's like Battletoads where you're on the jet pike, trying to dodge the walls and stuff like that. So it's really cool. The Turbo Tunnel levels, and it's a lot of varied type of gameplay. So that's a kind of cool game on the Switch. My Max Marathon, which I actually did start on the PS4, is the Danganronpa series. So I did the first game, Trigger Happy Havoc. For those that don't know, this is also a first-person visual novel style game where you and 14 other students are trapped in a school, and you live out in the school, and the only way out of the school is somebody has to kill somebody and then get away with it. So when somebody inevitably gets killed, you have to go around and look at clues and analyze the body, analyze the crime scene, and then you get into like this Phoenix Wright style class trial where you're like, figuring out what evidence to present and how to present it, and going against your classmates to try and find the mystery of who truly murdered. And as you're solving these cases, you also start to unravel the secret of why you're stuck in this school and why you're asked to kill each other. Really fun, really awesome, definitely worth playing. And now I'm actually on the sequel, Danganronpa 2, Goodbye Despair, which is crazy. I just started it. It's similar and different at the same time. And I'm looking forward to seeing how crazy the series gets, because it's like fourth wall breaking, and it is murder mystery and, very adult, but awesome. And I would love to see these games come to the Switch. Outside of that, on the PC, I'm still doing Final Fantasy XIV. We just had the Fan Fest this past week, so a lot of people coming back, a lot of people excited for the next expansion, and next patch actually drops next week. So it's going to be a lot more playing that game, and I'm getting back into it as the new expansion is around the corner. And on mobile, still doing Dragalia Lost. The Fire Emblem stuff just came back, which is great for those that missed it. And Mario Kart Tour, I'm still having fun racing and trying to take first place in each of these cups.
Nice. I still get notifications from Mario Kart Tour, but I haven't opened it yet.
They're asking you, please come
I know.
back.
They keep telling me we've dropped new things all the time. Why don't you join us? I'm like, yeah.
And if you notice, in all my games, I didn't say new Pokemon Snap because I got it, and my wife was like, oh, maybe I'll play it. I said, all right, you can play it. And I was debating getting into it, and I decided to do World End Syndrome first, and then into Danganronpa. So I'll get to it eventually, but it wasn't enough to pull me away from those other games. So I have it, I just haven't gotten to it.
Nice. I'm gonna go to the chat real quick, and looks like people are excited that we're back. And then Jakester said Xenoblades is new addiction. So I know that you guys have been talking a lot about that in the Discord recently. Jared said that he's been playing Pokemon Snap for almost a week straight. And let's see. Other than that, he also played Returnal on and off. And Jakester said he finished Tales of Vesperia, started Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition on Chapter 7, just started Still playing FGO and Genshin Impact, and tried Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Also watched the movie. Jakester, was this the first time you'd seen the movie as well? Let us know. I've not seen the movie in such a long time. I watched it, I think, when it first came out, but I haven't watched it. I probably need to go back
So
and
good.
watch it again at some point. It's a fun movie for sure. And but I haven't played the game. He said the game really just screams multiplayer. It's fun, but it's very hard in a single player game. Did the demo of World Ends Club and really enjoyed it. And then Jared also says Barry keeps pulling ahead of me in the Mario Kart Tour. So I guess you're competing with Jared out there because you're not competing with me because I haven't touched it in
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah,
You're
Jared
beating
and
me
I are
every
always
week.
See, Jared and I are always sending coins, and so we see each other. And I watch Jared's progress, but I purposely don't do the courses for the cup until towards the end of the cup, just to see how everyone else's places, so I know what my goals are. So I figure people are like looking on their friends list and seeing me at the bottom, like, is he still playing? And like the next day, boom, like I'm at
Nice.
the top.
Nice. Jace said it was the first time watching the movie. Very good, but over the top. Yeah, nice. Jesse Glenn says that he completed Little Town Hero, and so extremely good. That's cool. I heard a lot of things about Little Town Hero, good things about Little Town Hero, but never actually played it myself. So, all right, cool. Well, Greg, what have you been up to over this last month?
Well, thankfully, I don't need to go on like super long discussions because a lot of these games have been out for quite an extended period of time. So, pretty much Animal Crossing has just been on life support, just kind of logging in every once here and there. Finally got around to cleaning up some weeds and doing that kind of very low maintenance stuff, like doing that like on the airplane. Still doing like some of the mini events and stuff. I just realized that the museum thing's going on again. I did the May Day was the last day that I logged in, which was a little over a week ago. So that was really fun to do that again. That was one of my favorite things last year. Then also playing The Longing, which me and Barry will be discussing a little bit more in detail later. I did finally complete my goal of 100%ing Super Mario Odyssey. Yes, that includes the jump rope moons that were very insane. So I found there was like a glitch that you can just stand on like top of the letter R from like that Mario sign, and it just keeps counting that you're jumping, even though you're just standing on top of the letter. So yeah, that's you see my record. It's not legit, unfortunately, but sometimes you gotta do to get the moons. But yeah, I did see like the true ending, did beat the darker side and got the triple one at the very top. That was quite an interesting gauntlet. I usually like those gauntlet challenges like from like Mario Galaxy 2 and stuff. So like, that was very fun to go through with all the different captures that you use throughout the game. Also still playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with my daughter, so we're still doing some like online modes here and there, or just me versus her, and either races or battle. So that's still kind of fun to be playing that. Newer entry to the list, at least in the terms of the podcast, I replayed Dragon Quest 1 or Dragon Warrior 1 for anyone that played on the NES. That was one of my favorite series, and I already had played it forever ago, and it's been at least 15, 20 years since I've played that game, so it was kind of fun to go through and remember a lot of the stuff that goes through there. I know the Switch version has like updated visuals and also like extra story pieces and stuff, and they've also tuned the experience in Gold to make it more manageable than the very original if you played the NES part. So I actually did start it and fully beat it, so I didn't get the last level up the character to the highest level or anything, but I just did beat the Dragon Lord and finished up that. I've actually been playing 3DS over the time off, so this is going back to the Ambassador games. I'm replaying Sacred Stones, Fire Emblem, so I was kind of interested to kind of see the story after there's been a number of heroes added to Fire Emblem Heroes from Sacred Stones. I'm like, hey, I kind of don't really remember the story. Maybe I'll go through and replay that. So I'm still in the early phases, so only on chapter 5 or so, but we'll be plugging away at that over the coming weeks. And then a game we got from the library for my daughter, we got Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, the 3DS version. So I had it on Wii U and did 100% it there. And then like during a few like days that we played it, we practically did the same thing on 3DS. So didn't quite finish like the Toadette stuff, but at least the original Captain Toad stuff was completed that I had done on Wii U. So that wraps up 3DS. Mobiles, as I mentioned earlier, still doing Fire Emblem Heroes, still maintained interest and still plugging away and scoring high in arena Ether raid modes. Then one or more of the up and coming one, especially over when we have been on vacation, was Super Mario Run. My daughter really got me more fascinated back into that, so I've been breaking some of Barry's and Steve's high scores for coins and stuff. Still quite a ways away from getting all the rewards from the stuff we can buy, because I didn't do the Toad Rally as much when I played it back when it launched. But so I'm still ranked kind of lower between you guys on that level, but there are some levels that I have the record on the friends list, so you can always check that out if you are interested in seeing which ones you
download
lost.
it again at some point.
It's been so long since I played that
I
game.
know.
So yeah, I've been even trying to do some of the daily Toad rallies just to get my Nintendo points as well. So like fully kind of trying to help complete it. So I'm plugging away at that. Daughter did beg me to re-download Mario Kart Tour. I haven't played it, but she might have logged in. If you see my account logged in, it's her playing it, not me. I gave up on it for foreseeable future. And yeah, Pokemon Go is kind of in the same situation. If it's on, she's just kind of catching a few Pokemon here and there, and we're in different locations, and that's pretty much all I've been doing the last month or so.
Nice. Yeah, so I have been playing 2 games the entire last month. One game a whole lot more than the other. I'll let you take a guess which game that is. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Rocket League, which is one thing that I've really enjoyed over the last month. Having a little extra time, and have dedicated a lot of time to Rocket League, and solely playing on Xbox, because now that I look at it on Switch, it looks like garbage, and I can't like not see it, because and on Xbox you get an HDR, and it's like definitely a 60 frames per second all the time. I would love to play it on PC, but I just don't have the opportunity to be able to run it at that kind of really high frame rates. But I've been playing a lot of Rocket League, and actually did hit the next rank up. So I did hit Diamond, which I had been wanting to do for a long time, and so yeah, I hit that. And was pretty excited to be ranked up to Diamond, and then I played with some other people that were absolute bad teammates, and I'll just blame it on them, because why not? And yeah, ended up ranking down, then had to go back up again and everything, but that's just the game part of that. So yeah, I've been playing a lot of Rocket League, and also did play some more Pac-Man 99. In fact, it's the only game that I played on Switch, and the only reason that I turned my Switch on for the entire last month was Pac-Man 99, and I'm really enjoying it. I've spent a lot more time just like try to grind and try to learn the different attacks that you can use, and that sort of thing, and also just trying to stay alive. I've not won a game yet. I think the highest I've gotten is ranked 15th. So still quite a ways away from first place, but I love the fact that like any of those games, like Tetris 99, Mario 35 was very similar to this. It just, you lose, you get back into a game usually within like 30 seconds, you're back into another game, and try it again. So like sometimes you make stupid decisions, like I've lost within the first 30 to 45 seconds sometimes, because I just made it was like, oh shoot, there was a ghost there. Why in the world did I turn that direction? But you can be back into another game, within sometimes even like 10, 15 seconds, depending on how fast you connect with other players. So that's been fun, just to like really try to learn how to play that game better. And I think it might be one that I do pick up more and more. I think I said that on the last episode that it might be one of the battle royale games that does pull me in because I do like Pac-Man a lot. And I think this might be one. I don't think I'll ever be, top of the leaderboards all the time, but I'm gonna see if I can actually get at least one first place game. I've never been able to do that in Tetris 99, and I was never able to do it in Super Mario 35 either. Sorry, Jesse and Chad. I did refer to Mario 35. He said hashtag Mario 35 too soon. And Jakester also said, yeah, he's been playing a lot of different games, so I'm not alone as well. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. Now we're going to move into a little a thing we started on our last episode. If you guys are following us on our YouTube channel, you've noticed that over the last several years, we have a series that we call Game Chats, and we are able to just kind of look at a game from a discussion based kind of review rather than just reviewing it straight up. And so we're going to start to incorporate those more in our podcast. Also break them out as a separate video on our YouTube channel. So if you just want to get that, you can. But we're also going to put those, kind of incorporate those a little bit more in our podcast as well. And so Barry and Greg got an opportunity to check out a game called The Longing. So I'll pass it off to them, and they'll talk about their experience with this game. So you guys can take it away.
Sure. So Greg and I both got codes for The Longing shortly after the last podcast that we did, and we said, hey, let's do this game for the next episode that we do, and let's check it out, because we'll be talking a little bit about it later as well in the discussion about the Nindy Direct. But this was an intriguing one for me, and I think it was, Greg, I think you felt the same. And the story of The Longing, for those that don't know, is you are a shade. Your king has tasked you with waiting 400 days to wake him up, and you are in your cave, and you have legit 400 real-time days, and you can do whatever you want. You could explore, you can do nothing, you can literally turn on the game, then turn it off, wait 400 real life days, turn it back on, and you beat the game. Or you can explore the caves and see what kind of secrets are there. And Greg, how have you done? How are you done, or are you still exploring? What have you done in these 400 days?
Well, I haven't hit the end of the 400 days, but I haven't really done like the top part of the thing where you go through the one door. So like that was like my first, I would say, like hard stop spot was like, oh, there's a door and it takes 2 hours to open. So then curiously, I was just like, I wonder if this game handles time travel. So like I fast forward the switch 2 hours, boom, it like was done. So I was like, well, I guess we'll see what else is coming before I dedicate more to that. So I haven't had resort to that at all, but then I never went up going to see what was beyond the door. So, and I think it's a few rooms north of the room that's on video screen right now. So haven't really explored that way, but I have gone with both sides, like all the way to both ends. So like one way leads to the library, and I was able to get inside there after waiting a month's time for that little ravine to fill up with water that's on screen right now. So I did to explore that and got a number of books. There's also another route where you can like fall down onto some moss, and there's like a big crystal cavern on the other side that I went and even spent a day mining out one of the crystals just to kind of say that, like, hey, I did it. And so I got that. It took me a little while to find the Madoc item. That was one of the last items that I actually got, and took a number of days before I actually found it. Overall, I think the game is pretty interesting, at least like the way from the story perspective, but I think it's a little slow paced, at least for me. The walking speed seems like horrendously slow, but it definitely reminds me of some of the mobile gacha games where it's like, oh, you can do this job for whatever 8 hours, and then you get whatever 15 in-game currency and whatever like that. So this game definitely reminded me of that, because it was just like, oh, you have to wait 2 weeks for this to fill up with water, or moss to grow down there, or whatever the different situation is. So it definitely had that feel to it, and I felt like the shade moved very slow in comparison to like the time that you spend on these other events. So I think that's kind of what pushed me back from trying to explore too far, because then even though there is a fast mode to go back to your room and sit in your chair, but then even then it feels like you take like 5 minutes just to like walk all the way back down, because those really long stairwells past like the king's statue where he's sleeping, and it just feels like it takes like way too long just to really get anywhere. So that was one of the biggest drawbacks for me. Um, did you have anything that you wanted to cover before I jump into some other stuff that I've done?
Yeah. So I, unlike you, I actually have beaten this game. I have there's multiple endings to this game. First off, there's range from terrible endings like a suicide, and there's a bunch of other ones until the 400 days. So I beat the 400-day version, and I didn't time travel. So you're like, how'd you do it? It hasn't been 400 days. Well, there's a way to do it. So you have a house, you have your room, and in your room, the more you decorate it, the faster time moves in your room. So if you find paper and you find some chalk, different colored chalk, you can draw pictures. The more pictures you have, the faster time will start moving. If you build a bed, and you get the mannequin, you expand your room, the faster. If you get crystals, you harvest the crystals. The more crystals you have, the faster time moves. So after a certain period of time, I think it was like 20 seconds or 25 seconds per real life second in my room. So I just left myself there to finish. Um, I think the concept is fantastic. I think when you're first venturing out, this world is so big. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to get lost. It does have a fast travel where you can pretty much snapshot where you are, and you can always tell yourself to go back there. But by fast travel, it means your shade is going to walk there. And your shade does not walk fast, as Greg alluded to, because you have 400 days. What's the rush? So there are a bunch of things to do to start triggering, such as a stalagmite falling, which takes like a week, and the water filling up, which takes a month, and the door, which is two hours, and a bunch of stuff like that. You have to really explore and see what kind of puzzles you want to do. Like there's a spider web that takes a while. There's mushrooms you have to grow, and there's a lot to truly see. Uh, and there's hidden stuff too. So there's a hidden door that appears like every midnight. Um, and it's one of those things where you you have to get to the door. But if you just find the door, you can't get in unless you have a key. In order to get the key, you got to find the secret tower, which is like all the way in the top of the map. And then you have to wait specifically at 21 hours for a pelican to come over and land in a nest to drop the key for you to get it. Like there's a lot of these time specific puzzles. So you really have, and you don't have to do any of it. Like I said, you could just leave the game on. There's just a lot of adventures to do. There's a endless corridor. It's eternity, and it's those games where like this is an endless staircase, like Mario 64, for example. You could run up for an hour in Mario 64's endless staircase, and then turn around and you're at the bottom of the stairs. In this game, the Pathway of Eternity, if you go an hour to the right, you have to go an hour to the left to get out of there. Like you don't just instantly get out. But there's stuff to find. There's decorations, there's carpets and shades, and different things to get, which is cool. There's books. There's a lot of books you could find. The books have real world books like Moby Dick. You could read Moby Dick. There's like 40 something books. One of them is a book that never ends. It's literally like 30,000 pages of the same thing over and over and over. One of them is a book on moss carpet, and if you get that, you can actually make carpets out of moss if you have moss. And another one is that you start with is called Thoughts. And what's cool about Thoughts is not only does it give you your inventory, but it gives you some stuff like oh, I've never explored this area. Oh, I'd like to do this. I'd like to do this. And as you do things in the game, it starts crossing them off. So it's like, oh, I haven't explored this cave, and then it crosses off. I've explored a good chunk of this cave, and it's crossed off. I've explored about half the cave, et cetera, until I've explored everything. It's really cool. that it gives you those kind of like, and they're hidden. It's like, if you don't click that book, you'll never see it. But it kind of gives you that a little mini objective, like, can I cross off everything in this book? Which is awesome because there's a lot of cool hidden things. And I think my biggest problem is, as awesome as these things are, there's just not enough. Like, I got bored from doing everything. Like, I literally did everything, and some of the stuff was just waiting time for something else to happen. But I feel like they could have done more with this concept, with it being 400 days. Like, if it was like 200 days, maybe it would work. But with 400 days, I feel like there should have been more to do, more to collect, more to see. But that's just me. There's still a ton to do, and I do recommend you try it. Greg, why don't you go on and continue with what you were saying?
Yeah, I did go down that endless corridor for like I think a good 10, 15 minutes, and I found like 8 books and a bunch of paper, and that was kind of interesting that all that stuff was there. And there was also that horse head thing. That was pretty cool to actually find that. I don't know how much farther I could have went. I know there was a guy on YouTube that was going there for like hours, like going through there and never reached like an end. And I don't know how many books you can actually get from that endless corridor, but I think I got the ones you could get. Going to the library was pretty cool, but I really thought there'd be a lot more books there. So,
Well,
you
there
said there was like
is actually. There's a hidden thing in the library where when you finally get to the library, you have to wait like it's like 100 days or something, and you go back and the ceiling actually collapses, and there's more books that will be there.
okay. So yeah, more weight and stuff. I have like all this paper, and every time I draw something, it just replaces the existing thing. So I don't know how I get more drawings, and so I didn't really play around with that. I only harvested one of the red crystals just to be able to say that I'd done it. Then I alluded to earlier, I harvested one of like the blue crystals like in the special area. That seemed like it took forever to do as
Harvest
well.
them all. Harvest them all and put them all in your room. The time will go faster.
Yeah, so I'm like down to like 330 some days before the king will wake up. So I don't know how much longer I'll still play because I feel like it takes forever just to harvest things and to do all the time puzzles. And I don't know, it just gets kind of boring, as you were kind of saying, because it's a lot of waiting and not really playing the game. That's kind of where I draw the line, where it's kind of like a gotcha game, because it's like, oh, you just open up the game, tap a couple times, and it's like reset everything for the next whatever 8 hours or 12 hours or whatever the time segment is, and resume. But this is like days, so it's like if you're not in your house, then it's real world time. So I don't know how long it takes to harvest the crystals or how many hours or days it is, but it certainly feels like it's almost an eternity just to harvest those, and then you're not really making a ton of progress on the main timer when you're not in your house. So I still have to explore the top of the tower and go up that way, but I don't know. It's just hard to keep my attention when the game is kind of telling me to go do other things.
Yeah, I hear you. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many things you want to do, but not only does a lot of it take time, which is fine, but you start to run out of things. And like I said, there's different endings you can get. And I will say that after beating the ending, it was a little anticlimactic. I hate to say it. Like, I feel like there should have been more. But the cool thing is there is something. So the game is designed to be a one-time thing. It's designed to be a one and done. However, when you beat the game, there is, if you wait on the screen, it will literally tell you, you can go back and change, like, back in time. And if you do that, it resets back before, like, you wake the king, so you can then continue to play. Because uh, when it hits 0000, the game doesn't just stop. You can continue playing and explore.
That's good to know, and look forward to if I decide to load up the game in like 400 days, just to see like, oh, did I beat the game yet? But yeah, so that was kind of the main feelings I had towards it. It can be pretty fun if you're kind of into like slower paced games, is because a lot, like you were saying, it's definitely a lot of waiting, and obviously if you're like in your house, like the time passes by much faster. But then it's also like if you want to explore, sometimes you might not be able to go certain directions because you have to wait, whether it be a week or a day or a few hours that you might not be willing to wait. And if it's telling you to go play a different game, you might actually not want to come back if you get more into the other game where you're not stopped by those kind of constraints. So
Yeah,
it is a pretty
definitely.
solid game. There's lots of fun stories, and I definitely appreciate getting picking up like those diaries of sadness or whatever they were. Like when you like reach a dead end, like I'm now disappointed times one or
Disappointment.
whatever. I don't know how many
Yeah,
of
they're
those are,
actually
but
single purpose for those.
okay. So yeah, I found at least 5 of them. I don't know how many there are, but that did find humor in that. Like I just walked up all these stairs, got one thing of disappointment. Like
There's a lot of good
so.
humor in the game. There's like you have a fireplace in your house, so you can light coal and make a fire. And if you do that while the fire is burning, you actually like an extra like I think 5 seconds comes off every second, which is cool. But you could also mine sulfur. So if you decide to make a fire out of sulfur, if anyone who's ever smelled a sulfur fire knows that it smells like ass, like it's just terrible, and that happens in the longing, and your shade will literally go to the farthest point away from your house automatically. He will just bye, like get up and leave, which is hilarious. And I love that they did things like that.
Yeah, I haven't really played around too much in the home to find the sulfur yet. So, because as I was saying, like that Maddock took me what felt like an eternity to find because I must have been going everywhere where it was not. So,
There's actually 4 Maddox, believe it or not.
yeah, I thankfully found all the music pieces. That was like one of the first things I did, and then I still haven't really found all the colors yet either. So I don't know where those are. I think I've only found like red and maybe like one other color. But
You got to explore,
stuff is
clearly.
really well. Yeah, it's really well hidden, obviously. So yeah, you definitely have to be paying
Yeah.
attention when there's like a little notification, like, "Oh, pick up something," and normally it's a piece of coal. I'll add it to my brother. So like, that's kind of cool, one of those cool, humorous elements to it as well.
So now, what would you recommend? Would you recommend this game to somebody who might be thinking about picking this up?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has a lot of adventure and story elements to it, and I would definitely think it's worth like the price tag, the $15. There's definitely a lot of game there, and you can easily get that much entertainment out of it if you're willing to sit through the different wait times for the different areas that you need to go through. It's
I'm
definitely
gonna
something you
agree.
can go back to if you're dedicated.
I think this is an experience. I think that if you like different games, slow moving games, not high action, especially if you have a family. My wife was literally watching and like living vicariously. Like she named the shade and was like, "Oh yeah, let's go here, let's go here," and was kind of like taking part in it like every day. But like, what's he up to today? What's he up to today? So like, I think as a family game, it could be a lot of fun too, just to explore. But I think as an experiment, it's cool. I'm glad it's on the Switch. I'm glad I was able to play it. So thank you to the developers for providing a code. And yeah, I think this is something. If this whole thing sounds cool, if this sounds up your alley, I think you should give it a shot.
Yeah, I would definitely echo that.
Cool. Well, I'll be probably. I actually mentioned to these guys before that I also received a code as well, so I'm looking forward to checking it out as well. Interesting. The things that stood out to me is that the pacing of it is kind of the big thing that stood out to me. It was like, can I take that pacing? So I'll be interested to see what I think about that as well, because it seems like that could be a game, like a deal breaker for some people, but
I
it's
thought that too, and it
yeah.
just became endearing.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yep, and
It
I
sounds like a
found
definitely
myself
a
still
different
willing to.
type of game, though. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, it's definitely that different type because you wouldn't expect like a mobile type experience with all that time waiting to be on Switch. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there is other things you can do. I mean, all you have to do is just trigger the initial event, and then you can go off and explore a completely different area. You don't have to
Mm-hmm.
turn off the system, you can set a hot point right to where you are, and then you know to go back there after whatever, a week or 2 weeks or a month, whatever the time frame was for that event. So you don't have to turn off the game, but sometimes if you're kind of annoyed by how slowly it walks, then maybe you just are better off waiting to real time it out. So
Nice. Well, let's move into some discussion around news, and we actually have two, more breaking news stories right now. A couple quick things before we jump into some bigger stuff. And the first thing is that Nintendo kind of made a couple tweets. Actually, one is from Amiibo News, but we're actually getting a new Amiibo from Zelda Skyward Sword HD. We're going to be getting the Loftwing, Zelda and Loftwing specifically, for a new Amiibo. So what do you guys think about this Amiibo? Like, did you expect this to come out of? I feel like it just came out of nowhere. What do you think about this, Greg?
I think it looks pretty neat. I mean, I really like all the different Zelda amiibos that they've done for each of the games, and Skyward Sword is definitely a great game and well deserving of another amiibo. So I'm probably gonna pick it up, but it'd be nice if there was some sort of bundle to get both that game and amiibo together, which would really seal the deal for me.
Yeah. Barry, what do you think about this one?
I love it. I'm, as an Amiibo fan, I love all the Amiibos, but as a Zelda fan as well, it's just icing on the cake. Just really cool that they did this, with Twilight Princess, where they had the Wolf Link Amiibo. My guess, like Greg was mentioning, is there probably will be some kind of bundle. It's not something I expected. It's something I hoped for because Nintendo's been slowing down with Amiibo. I'm glad it's only one and not like here's 15
Right.
more Amiibo. But it's such a cool Amiibo, and you can see how detailed. Like they could have even just made these two separate Amiibo, and they a Loftwing and Zelda. They didn't. They gave it as one Amiibo. I think it looks fantastic. I love the expressions, and apparently, according to Jared in the chat, because we're doing this. Obviously, I haven't had time to really look much into it. He says that the Amiibo will allow you to return to the sky or into the world in Skyward Sword. So one or the other. That's really cool. I like that. Especially if I remember, it's been a long time. Like you had to go to certain points to get back up. So this is just an instant. So it's cool. I'm glad. It's just even without the functionality, I think it looks amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've said this with the last time they announced Amiibo, but I feel like we're getting closer and closer and closer to that original design that they gave us. That was like so cool, and then we got the real ones, and we're like, eh. But these designs are actually really nice lately. So this is awesome. And we also got a
Will you
tweet
be
from.
picking it up though, Steve?
Maybe, I don't know. Like it's been tough. I don't know. It's so much extra.
He's falling off the amiibo train.
I've been spending too much of my money on the Mario Kart Hot Wheels. Is what I've been doing. I got the whole set, and the stupid gliders are on them now, and it's a nightmare.
Yep.
But anyway, let's move on to the other tweet out on the screen right now. We got some new games coming to SNES and NES online app. For the SNES, these going to be dropping on May 26th. SNES is going to have Super Baseball Simulator 1000, Caveman Ninja, also known as Joe and Mac, Magical Drop 2, and Spanky's Quest. So 4 games on the SNES, and the NES is going to be getting Ninja Jajamara Kun. Probably Kun. Jajamara Kun. What do you guys think of these games? They just dropped this information, so clearly we haven't really had a chance to talk, to really look into it or anything. I'll play the video, the little trailer here on the screen while we chat about it. But Barry, what do you think about these games being announced?
I mean, there's no real overall universal heavy hitter in this group. Joe and Mac is the biggest one for me, just because I remember playing Joe and Mac as a kid, and I enjoyed it, and it's cool to see it coming to the NES Online. I like that more obscure games are coming. I think obscure games are awesome, and there's a lot of hidden gems that way. but it kind of feels weird without like the marquee title. And I almost feel like they've done most of their marquee titles. And I know I could hear Jakester in the chat type in Earthbound's not done yet. And you're right. And Earthbound should be there. And if Earthbound's not there, that tells me that there's some other plan for Earthbound, because look at how many great games are missing, and a lot of those games are already on other compilations. The Mega Man games aren't there because they're on compilations. The Street Fighter games aren't there, they're on other compilations. So usually if a game is going to be on another compilation, it probably won't appear here. So even Nintendo's own. So that kind of gives me hope that there will be some kind of mother collection. But you know what? I think a lot of these games could surprise people. If it's like, I've never heard of this, let me give this a shot. Why not? It's included in my membership. If I play for 5 minutes and don't like it, then whatever. But you might be surprised. I would like to see some more of the RPGs hit. It'd be really cool. But at least we're getting something. We're getting them at such a weird, random rate. I don't think we're going to get any new announcement before E3, of course, because the E3 is not too far away. But who knows? Maybe this might be the last SNES, NES grouping, and the next one might include some other consoles coming as well. Who knows?
GBA.
You don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Greg, what do you think about this?
I mean, it's great that there are still more titles coming. I mean, I feel like there's so few and far between, and obviously we'd like the quantity to be higher, but I mean, it's just have to appreciate that we're still getting some. So it could have just been like pretty much done after they said they weren't going to be doing any timely updates, but instead they're still throwing us a few every here and there. So it was really nice to see a lot of Super Nintendo games this time, and I've actually never played any 4 of those Super Nintendo games, and it should be interesting to give those a try out sometime on the app. I also never played that NES one either, so it's 5 new games that I've never played and probably haven't really heard of just about all of them, except the Joe and Mac. I had at least heard that title before, but I've never played it. So it's great that they're there, and hopefully still get more to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think there's it's cool that some of these games, like you said, lesser known games that are popping on there. I just still find it funny that they're putting games like sports games on there, especially games that are not as good as like other ones, like, because sports games have come so far since those early days, and these are awful. Like, I mean, I know they were cool at the time, but they're awful now in comparison. Like, but if you're going to put some on there, like RBI Baseball, maybe something like that would be cool to have. But Super Baseball Simulator 1000, like, no, I'd rather play, a modern baseball game. Like, granted, I know that's going to cost me $60, but like, I'm not going to go back and play, like, really seriously play Super Baseball Simulator 1000. But games like, like Joe and Mac.
What about King Griffey Jr. Baseball on Super Nintendo? That was good.
That could be
Nintendo
cool as
too.
well. Exactly. Also could be a good option. I played a lot of Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball 2 or whatever it was, but yeah, played a lot of that game. Bring that one, not Super Baseball Simulator 1000. Like,
see, I don't really play like the older NES and SNES and really 64 sports games, so
they're not good.
I'd never really played Tecmo Bowl or RBI Baseball or any of those.
Oh, come on. Tecmo Bowl and Super Bowl are fantastic games.
Because you just cheat the way through it. But
it doesn't matter. They're still fantastic games.
As soon as they start dipping into like 64 and GameCube, where it's like the Mario sports titles, then those would be worth it to have the older versions of those and not just have the latest version of Twitch.
Yeah. But yeah, it's cool to have some of these other games on there. I usually what I do is I fire it up. I check out the ones that I haven't checked out before. I'll play it for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. If it grabs me, I'll keep playing it. If not, I move on to the next title, and that's it. So the cool thing is they're free if you pay for a Nintendo Online subscription. So might as well check them out. They're coming out on May 26th. So not too long. What is today? Like the 18th. So week and a day from our recording today. So. All right, well, let's move into some other big news. We right after our last episode, we had a little thing happen that we haven't talked about yet. So, Indie World Showcase happened on March 14th. Or sorry, April 14th, not March 14th, April 14th. And several games shown off. So you've probably at this point had a chance to check them all out. Some of the games have already come out, like The Longing has already come out and get a chance to play it and everything. Some of those games dropped that day. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rush through the list of the games that were announced that day, and then we'll just have a quick chat about what games stood out to us, anything that we're especially looking forward to. So so let's just kind of run through this list real quick. This is on NintendoFuse.com. If you haven't checked that out, you can see the entire list. But yeah, so Road 96 supposed to come out later in 2021. Aerial Knights Never Yield was supposed to come out on May 19th, so that's tomorrow as of the recording. The demo is already out. Annapurna was showed off Last Stop, the game. It's going to be coming out in July, and Hindsight is later in 2021. Ollie Ollie World comes out in the winter 2021 time frame. The Longing launched that day, so we've already talked about that. There Is No Game, Wrong Dimension, also launched that day, so you can get that. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is going to be coming out officially for the Nintendo Switch later in 2021. Chris Tales comes out on July 20th. Ginsu Fuma Den Undying Moon comes out in 2022. Aztec Forgotten Gods, fall 2021. Skull, I'm going to say it's probably Skull, The Hero Slayer, summer 2021. The Art of, there's not the in it at all. It's just Art of Rally comes out in the summer as well. Labyrinth City, Pierre and the Maze Detective comes out in 2021 in the spring, so probably not too far from right now. Kiwi, that's Keywe, supposed to come out in August of this year. Weaving Tides comes out in May 2021. The House of the Dead remake later in 2021. Ender Lilies, Quietus of the Nights, June 21st of 2021. Beasts of Maravilla Valley. Sorry, not Valley at all. I don't know what I'm reading. Beasts of Maravilla Island. I'm just making up my own names for these games. Beasts of Maravilla Island comes out on June 2021. Fez came out that day back in April. Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals comes out sometime in 2021. And they also announced a big sale for all those indie titles. Some of them are still on sale. Some of them, the sale is already over. So yeah, quite a bit of games announced. I can't remember the exact total on all those games. Lots of different types of games. That was the one thing that kind of stood out for me for this Indie World Direct, was there a lot of different types of games, which is actually kind of cool because that's one of the things that I was hoping for, and I mentioned in the last podcast was I was hoping they were going to kind of explore all these different types of games and genres and stuff like that. Even if they don't jump out to me to like get right away, it's cool to see all the different stuff that all these indie developers are making. So, Greg, what were your thoughts about this, and what games stood out to you?
Well, I was definitely very glad, like you were saying, there's definitely varieties. You can definitely feel that there's something for hopefully just about everyone on this list, especially if you're not really following a lot of these indie developers. And it's great that they all were able to have something to show. And I really do appreciate that with all the indie world things that they've done during this pandemic time, because it feels like they're really loaded with lots of variety. So there's some of these that I definitely need more things on, but at least one of the ones that stood up to me was There Is No Game. It just looked like it was kind of fun, like a little adventure game that was going through there, and I kind of like those little adventure story-like games. So that was definitely one of the main ones that stood out, and I think there's probably a number of other ones that I've been trying to find in the video, but I didn't have the time to thoroughly prepare because it's been such a while since I watched the presentation. So those are at least the main things that come off that are easily discussable right now.
Yeah, yeah. Barry, what'd you think of this one?
Yeah, I thought this also had a good chunk of variety. Some titles did stand out to me. The Longing, which we did talk about. Obviously, Turtles. Very excited for Turtles. Chris Tales, one that is getting a physical release, looks really cool. Getsu Fuma Der looks fantastic, and that is actually Konami, which is awesome. It's also an NES, a remake of an NES game that we never got, or I should say a Famicom game we never got. It's nice to see them going back into their old catalog and actually giving us games, but it looks beautiful. Those are the biggest ones. House of the Dead remake out of nowhere. This is another Sega remake that we're getting. There's been so many that just recently that have just like Sega's almost like, here, take our IP and just keep making them. And it's also another Saturn remake. Panzer Dragoon, another one was a Saturn remake, and it's great to see. Great to see these games getting new life. House of the Dead, had a good chunk of games on the Wii. But if you remember, the first game never got it, so it's cool to see the first one coming back. Fez, a game I remember playing on the 360 on the live arcade. Really cool 2D/3D kind of like rotating platformer. That really shocked me because like the creator got super mad or something like that, and like done, like, I'm not doing anything with the game. I'm done programming. I'm done putting things out. I don't, some kind of blow up. So to see that actually come back is awesome and on the Switch. And I've heard a lot of good things about Oxenfree. I've never played it, but I've seen a lot of people get super excited for Oxenfree too. Didn't do anything for me, but I'm so happy for those that are looking forward to that. And maybe one of these days I'll try the first one.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm right there with you guys as well. Like nothing like really stood out to me except for Turtles. Like it was so cool we were hoping that game would be officially announced for the Switch, and really cool to see that it definitely is. And that was really the thing that to this day it still stands out to me when I think of this event. Oxenfree, same, Fez, all those, they're the games that seem cool, but definitely it was Turtles that was the one that that kind of just still stands out, and what I'm really looking forward to playing the most. But yeah, there as these other games roll out, I might end up checking out other games as well. I do think Oxenfree is one of the ones that I have been looking at for a while. I'm like, where should I try it out? Maybe I'll just jump into the second one. We'll see. But yeah, I think it was really cool to have the variety. Also, looks like Jakester says that he doesn't remember any of them outside of TMNT, and my hype for it has kind of died after trying out Scott Pilgrim. So that's interesting. Is it because I know the guys behind the new Turtles game are behind like the new Streets of Rage? Were they also behind Scott Pilgrim as well, or is that just a kind of a beat 'em up connection that he's making?
I think it's a beat 'em up connection.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like even another Sega property. Streets of Rage 4. It's so cool. How many are coming back?
Right.
Yeah. Even though I absolutely love the Turtles, I'm still unsure on like this one because I never really enjoyed the second one on the NES, which is this one's kind of like spiritual successor. I always really liked the first one much more, which is the more difficult one that everyone absolutely like hated. I'm
really
breathing that.
You are
we
the
need an
minority
entire
there.
podcast episode for me to dive into your brain of why you like Turtles 1 but you didn't like Turtles 2.
What about Turtles 3 or 4 or 5?
I don't think I've played 4 or 5, and I don't really remember a lot of 3. I know I definitely had it rented, but...
Whoa, you never played Turtles in Time or Hyperstone Heist?
No.
Oh, wait, forget
Oh my
Xenoblade. Play some Turtles in Time.
Intervention.
Yes, it's a whole lot shorter.
I very got it.
And the combat system is so much better than Xenoblade. You just hit a button. Attack.
See, the main thing with like Turtles 2 was just like the enemies just seemed like they were way overpowered. It's like I attack, but then they'd always like hit through me or get behind me and like hurt me, and then I could never make
You
it
have to
past like the
remember,
third level
Turtles 2 was
because
an
it
arcade
kept
game,
killing me.
and arcade games are designed to kill you.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can
it's just
beat
about
the
pumping in more
Simpsons game
quarters.
just fine on the arcade, but Turtles game felt it was impossible.
That's funny.
Even though the first one is supposedly really hard, but I can beat the Technodrome and Shredder and stuff with that one. But
Wow.
All right. Well,
beat
okay.
the
Then.
damn level that no one likes playing.
Yeah. I mean, I liked Turtles 1 until Turtles 2 came out. Like, then I realized, oh, I can have that arcade experience at home, even though like it doesn't look exactly as good. I didn't care. I could play Turtles 2 at home. It'd be great.
Yeah.
But
That was the
yeah,
best part.
Turtles of Time, fantastic. You should definitely play that game. All right, well, let's move on to another announcement that was a little more recent. We've got a this is something else that kind of came out of nowhere a little bit. Greg, tell us about this Game Builder Garage thing that Nintendo announced.
Yeah, so completely out of left field. No one would have ever really seen it coming. It's, I guess, the spiritual successor to Mario Maker. So they want us building their own video games now, not just levels. So yeah, there's this Game Builder Garage app that they'll be releasing for $30, a little bit right around E3 time. I think either right before or like immediately following. I don't remember the exact time frame of
Right before
E3.
June 11th.
Okay, right before. Okay. And then pretty much you can create your own game. So it gives you the ability to create different assets and then how to make things jump or move. It like gives you all the little different actions and keys. Like you're seeing in the video, you kind of just drag your finger and kind of connect different elements to do what you want them to do. And then you're able to create your own games and even upload them online and download other people's creations. And so that's what I was kind of saying. It's almost like a spiritual successor to Mario Maker, but you're just making the whole game this time. You're not just building a single level, you're making an entire game. So if you ever want to dabble into game development, I'm sure this would be a pretty good starting piece to kind of see how it's done and go through the process of what it takes to create different types of games, like different platformers or adventure, whatever you'd want to create.
Nice.
I don't know what you guys thought of this announcement or eager to pick it up or whatnot.
Yeah. Barry, I'd love to hear what you think.
I love things like this. I love any type of game that gets people creating. And I'm a creative person. Sometimes I don't do the best with these type of things, but I know there's people with far greater creative minds than myself, and some of the creations that they've come up with are amazing. RPG Maker, Mario Maker, this, I love to see what people do. Little Big Planet, because some people are just so cool with what they, and wild how they're able to come up with things I never thought would be. And this kind of reminds me of like Nintendo's Little Big Planet, because Little Big Planet let you do all these different types of stuff. And I love the amount of creativity. And they're smart. They're giving us a physical. They won't give us a physical Famicom Detective Club, but they're giving us this physically, which is weird because if anything, you would think this is more of a digital title and Famicom would be a physical. But whatever, they're giving us a physical. That's great. I think this is fantastic. This is a very Nintendo thing to do. This is very out of left field. This is also another kind of shadow drop like Paper Mario was last year, which is kind of weird because they went back to directs. I guess because the next direct is E3. They're like, we don't have any presentation to throw this in. Throw it out there. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I mean, more not so much to play, more to see what people create and to play other people's creations.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope they are very supportive of the community because I have seen some kind of backlash how Nintendo doesn't really support their creators in the community, especially like Mario Maker, how they patch things out that people find. And it's like, it wasn't intended to be used that way, so we're going to patch that out. So hopefully there's none of those kinds of things where like people might make a really cool game using something and then you'll find out like, we made a mistake in the app, let's patch the app, and boom, like the game is basically taken down. So I really hope that wouldn't come to this, but you never really know, with these kind of creation games, because it's really playing around with all the different elements that you're given, and you might find something really cool, but then here comes Nintendo with their little hammer, and it's like, oh, nope, we're taking that one down. So really hope that this game doesn't experience that, because that can really destroy the community and will deter people from wanting to play the game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I'm right there with you guys. I am also more into this for to see where people are going to take this. Because I think it's cool. It does have a lot of elements that you can use in as you learn how to develop, and I think this is going to be great for beginning developers, especially kids that are really interested in, like, I want to make my own video game, and who knows, they may really learn a ton from this and make some of their own games, and then become the developers of the games in the future that we are playing and talking about on this podcast. And that's really cool that it seems so easy to just pick up and try and check it out. It's not for me. Like this stuff intrigues me, but at this point in my life, it's not a direction that I want to go. It's not something a skill that I want to learn. But if I was like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, something like that, oh my gosh, I would have been all over this. This would have been really cool. So I'm also really excited to see what people put together, because you can, use the built-in assets and everything, but then it looks like you can also create your own assets. And so, where are they going to take this and everything? The one thing that I do wish that they had, and I don't know if they're going to have it or not, but you can share your creations, the games you create with your friends, but I think it's only if you also have the application yourself. So I don't think, because I know like RPG Creator or RPG Maker, you can share it because there's a free download to just allows you to play those games. They've not at least talked about something like that here. That would be cool if they had that, because I don't know if I want to spend this money just to be able to play other people's. And that sounds weird, but only because that money's not going to those developers. If there was a way for me to like benefit like these brand new indie developers that are learning how to create games because of Game Garage or what's it called? Yeah, Game Builder Garage. Like that'd be cool if I could benefit them in some way. But if all I'm doing is giving Nintendo money for this just to play their games, I don't know. I think I'd rather get a free application and be able to toss some money to some other person out there who's making these cool games. But maybe that's asking way too much. But that's what I thought of when I heard about this. But it is really, really cool. I don't know. You guys have any further thoughts?
But based on that little text blurb, it seems like if you're savvy enough with like in web development, you might be able to like say like, oh, if you want to play my Garage Builder game, you can give me $5 and then I can share the code with you to play the game. So I guess technically you could do something like that. I don't know how. I'm sure Nintendo would absolutely hate that idea because they'd rather be like, oh,
they'd probably shut it down.
But I mean, there's things like Nookazon for Animal Crossing where you could just buy items with real money and such like that. So it's still thriving as well. So I guess you could technically go that route with this and build your own creations and technically sell download code to other people. I mean, I don't know how well it's be restricted because obviously if it's just the game is just a single code, then you could still send it to all your friends and they would have the game that you bought from somebody else. So it's probably not the best avenue with that, but I don't know. It definitely is a very interesting idea, and I really like the content creation type games as I've explored through Mario Maker through the podcast, and it definitely seems like something to kind of interested to see what people do with it.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they keep going in this direction of putting tools in the hands of the gamers, and see what sticks. I mean, they've done this with Mario Maker, of course, and then Labo was a little bit of that as well. But yeah, to be able to jump into this like fully into this, I'm really interested to see what it's gonna be. $30 on June 11th. Yeah, Barry, any final thoughts before we move on?
No, I think this is, like I said, this is very Nintendo. This is something out of left field, and this hopefully does better than Mario Maker 2. And it's one of those things where it may be the very game we need in 2021, and Nintendo knows it better than we do.
It's very true. Very true. Who knows what's going to come out of that? Yeah. So, Barry, there's some Evercade news that we got going on. So tell us about what's going on in that world.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, there's a new console. It's not new now. It came out last year called the Evercade. It is a handheld console that uses cartridges, physical cartridges. And the unique thing about these cartridges is it's not one game. The lowest is 2 games, but most of them are compilations up to 20 games. And they just announced this year that there's the new Evercade versus home console coming out. It is coming out in November 2021. So the pre-orders will start in May 28th. So in 10 days from this time. What's really cool about it is it plays all Evercade games that exist. You can already buy those Evercade games. They all play. There's actually 2 cartridge slots, and if you put in 2 cartridges that have 20 games each, all 40 games will be displayed. You can just pick and choose what you want to play. You can actually use your Evercade handheld system as a controller, and there's going to be multiple packages for the Evercade. It's HDMI, and it's around $100, which is very cheap for a console. You think like, oh, this is going to be another $200-$300. It's only going to be $100. Again, it plays all the games except, and there's the Namco collections. For whatever reason, they do not have the license to have the Namco games on console, only handheld. So unfortunately, you can't play the Namco games. Really weird. Hopefully they get that worked out before launch. But up to 4 players can play, so you can get some classic games and play them not only better because it's more powerful, but also multiplayer, which is impossible to do on a handheld. And there's some really cool titles. If you haven't checked it out, a lot of great compilations that are already out there and some new stuff. And one of the games, for example, is we did an industry talk with the really awesome guy who did a game called Quest Arrest for the Game Boy. Well, that game, they reached out to him, and he's porting it to the Evercade in color, the only version in color, and it's going to be in an indie game. There's an indie game compilation coming out with a bunch of indie titles, and that's so cool. Like, there's a lot of love to indie developers. So not only are you getting classic games from Atari, Namco, there's Intellivision, there's coming out, there's Interplay, you get the Earthworm Jim games, you Data East, Bad Dudes, some really cool titles. You get some new indie stuff. Tanglewood, Xenocrisis are on there as well, and this whole thing is $100 for this system, and there's going to be 20 cartridges total by the end of this year. And again, each of them has more than two games minimum. Most of them have close to 20 titles. There's like 280 games playable on this system already, and the cartridges are cheap. They're like $25 a cartridge. So it's not even like breaking the bank on this thing. It's a really cool system. Came out in Europe, but it's playable here. All the games are in English. So what do you guys think of this? Because I don't know if this is your first time even hearing about it.
Yeah, I'd heard about Evercade, but I really hadn't looked into it. I think actually I thought it was one of those other, like, the emulator kind of systems that plays like all the NES games and the SNES games and that kind of thing is what I think when I heard of Evercade, I thought it was that kind of a system. And so this is cool for sure. I think at this point, like in my life, I'm like, I don't know if I want another system that's playing like kind of retro kind of games, or retro games themselves. But it's cool, definitely. And I think that lower price is really great for people that want to jump in. But, I don't know, Greg, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like it'd be something really cool to have, but I don't know if it's really worth it for me at this time. I mean, I still have my NES and SNES and a lot of the arcade games that were put on those systems, and I know there's probably quite a number of games that I've never even played. But I just don't know if I'll have the time to really want to spend on older games. I mean, I might try to see about supporting it, but I don't know, at least at this point in time, if that's something I'll be diving into. But it does seem really cool, and it would be definitely a great thing to get. I just don't know if it's for me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So Barry,
totally
you got it already
understandable.
pre-ordered?
Yeah. It's not pre-ordered yet, May 28th, but I do plan to. I have the Evercade collection. I really enjoy it. Like I said, there's not a lot of games in terms of physical because there's a lot of compilations, but they're really cool. And speaking, Greg, you mentioned arcade. In that trailer, if you saw that Steve played, all the game spines are red except at the end there was a purple one. And a lot of us were wondering, what is that purple? What is that? And they teased, oh, you're going to find out. Well, we found out today, actually. They announced that those purple are actually for arcade versions. So the games that came out are like the NES versions, the Atari versions, stuff like that. But these, now they announced 4 arcade packs of the actual arcade versions of games. There's the Technos pack, the Data East pack, the Galeco pack, or Jailco pack actually, and an Atari. And these packs contain the arcade versions of a lot of these games that we did play on the NES. We never got the arcade versions, and this is cool to see them take these classic games and now bringing them onto the Versus. But they also play on the handheld, so you get all these great arcade games now in the palm of your hands, where back in the day you had to go to Pizza Hut to play these games, or you could play the Versus version. So it's cool to see how they're expanding this library and really using that power, and what type of things they're adding. I don't know if these type of things excite you, because you mentioned you have an NES and an SNES, but these games aren't on those systems, or at least not these versions.
Yeah.
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 Was it the Wii U that had like the arcade games going to it, or was that Switch? I don't remember. I remember like there's like a
Switch has arcade
Mario
archives.
Brothers like arcade archive.
Yeah, that's the Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have played Double Dragon like numerous times, both on the arcade and on NES, and I don't know, do I need another version of it? But I don't know. That's why I said it could be a nice, silly thing to have, or just something I don't really have a ton of time for. So I don't know. Be really cool to have, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the arcade stuff actually it excites me more than the other games, just because of the fact of like being able to have those right here in my house, and not having to buy the cabinets and having them take up tons of space in my house or whatever. And so yeah, actually, if they came out with TMNT 2 or Turtles in Time, maybe I pick that up, and then I'd send one to Greg as well, so you can play it too. But yeah, this is really cool, and I do love the arcade the announcements. That's pretty cool, and that's definitely up my alley. Would it be enough to get me to purchase it? Probably not, but if they keep going that direction, they may eventually convince me. So I guess we'll see.
I think the price is good, and it's also you talk about the big three. It's very hard for a lot of other smaller companies to get in, and there's so many other companies outside of the big players that most people haven't even heard of. And I've always been a champion of the underdogs, as much as I love Nintendo, just because I think it's really cool to see someone like, hey, I'm gonna try. And if you said to somebody, oh, I'm gonna try to make a console in 2021. To compete, not even to compete, but just to put out there, a lot of people be like, no. Or what you're going to get is you're going to get something like Analog or Retron, where it's just clone consoles that play older systems, but to pay its own proprietary media, its own cartridges, even if it is older games and some newer games, but to get some exclusives and to get these collections and big names, that takes a lot, and to make it affordable and to actually make it a realistic thing, especially with COVID hasn't helped, but to just go out there. I think, hats off to them. They're super nice people. They're always on social media, and you know what? They're making their dream a reality, and that is awesome.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too. Like, the more that stuff happens, to take the Nintendo slant on it, like how much, what will that do to Nintendo or the other companies as well, Sony and Microsoft, as they look at like, oh wow, like people are interested in this. Okay, what should we do? Should we be catering to that audience as well? Does that mean we get better games on the NES and the SNES online? Do we also, bring out, our mini versions of our NES and SNES, but we also make it where you can play new games for it? Like, what else is there that the big three will be able to take from this, and what will we see in the future? As they see the success of systems like this. So, but I guess we'll see.
I mean, it'd be nice if Nintendo will take a hint, because they'd rather scalpers and resellers get all their profits than resell some of their older games. So I definitely think that'd be a better avenue for them to pursue, to put some of those harder to find games like Earthbound and other stuff like that, and their arcade games like Arcade Punch Out and Donkey Kong and Mario Brothers can all be on there as well. So I would definitely welcome something that has a lot of their older games on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that wraps up our big news discussion for this episode, but we've got several headlines to move through just to make sure that you guys know what's going on in the world of Nintendo specifically, and a little bit in the overall video game space. So, Greg, how about you kick us off and tell us about this new piece of Lego stuff with Nintendo?
Well, I know our dear friend Hassan will be glad to know that the Lego Mario series is not dead. Right now, well, maybe Mario might be dead because he was killed in the trailer, but would now welcome Lego Luigi, and he will be coming out in August, so you can get his pack that comes with like a pink Yoshi and also the Boom Boom enemy that's been shown in a wide variety of games these days, like 3D World and whatnot. So if you're looking to expand your Lego set like Hassan, then you will be happy to know that you can get these new sets starting on August 1st.
Nice.
In other news, there was a direct that happened after the last podcast for Monster Hunter. There was a digital event in April from Capcom, and we got a brand new trailer for Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin, which showed returning characters, two specifically from the first game, which is really cool to see. A brief overview of the strategic overhaul to the turn-based combat system, and a bunch of other cool little things. On top of that, pre-orders for that are now open, including the collector's edition, which is actually probably sold out at this point. It appears to be exclusive to GameStop. The other Amiibo for that game, unfortunately, are GameStop exclusive, and there are no pre-orders. So when that game comes out, if you want those Amiibo, you'll unfortunately have to go there and get lucky. On top of that, they also showed a brand new trailer for Monster Hunter Rise with a new update, which happened later that day, that included a host of new monsters for the hunters to battle, new gear to craft, the ability to forge layered armor, and they unlocked the hunter rank cap.
Nice. We also got an update for a game that I don't think saw coming at all. Super Mario Party got a free update, guys. That game still exists. Apparently, Nintendo didn't forget about it. There was a version 1.1.0 update almost 3 years after the original game come out, and this update specifically updated kind of I'd say it's a COVID update essentially, because we can't get. Maybe we can actually hang out and play video games in person now, but for a long time, the last 14 months, we haven't been able to do that. So you can have a partner play and the classic Mario Party board game online. So that's the big addition that came to this game through this update was online update. So you can actually play Super Mario Party online with your friends. I think you can also play with random people, but you probably won't want to do that because someone backs out of the game, it crashes, and you start all over again. But hey, you can play Mario Party online.
Going back to new events that are coming up, May 26th has another item added to its docket, and that is Dragon Quest 35th Anniversary Stream. So at 8:30 p.m. Pacific Time, which is pretty much towards the end of the day for any part of the world, which might be closer to 27th for most people, I guess. They're going to be, for the first time in their history, they will be doing a Dragon Quest stream with international translation. So everyone around the world will be able to see the latest updates regarding the Dragon Quest series. So pretty much they said that the latest information on different some titles will be released. So is that Dragon Quest 12? Is that more remasters or new side stories? We won't know until the 26th of May.
Nice.
Speaking of more presentations, as we know, E3 is coming out very shortly, and very excited to see what June holds for E3. And one of the big players that usually shows up at E3 and has a presentation is none other than EA. And last year, when E3 was canceled, EA did have an EA Play Live that took place around E3 time. I found it very successful. We talked about it here. So naturally, EA Play is coming back this year. It just seems that EA doesn't want to be a part of E3, nor want to be even in the same month as E3. So it's decided that July 22nd is the date that their next EA Play Live is going to happen. So I guess E3 is too big for them now, or they're not big enough. I don't know, but save the date if you're interested in see the latest from EA. July 22nd is the date to save.
Nice. I got a question. Were you guys ever into Pokemon, the card game, at all?
Only when it came out.
When it came out. Greg, did you know that there was a card game before the video game?
I did know there was
Actually,
a card
I guess
game.
not before. But
yeah, I'd never really played the card game because obviously I just jumped into the series very recently.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to get your Pokemon cards at Target anymore. You're going to have to buy them somewhere else. The Verge and several others have reported that Target has decided to not carry Pokemon cards anymore after some incidences that happened throughout the U.S. Starting on May 14th. You're not going to be able to get any Pokemon cards at Target anymore. There's some fighting that happened, fighting over cards. I had no idea that Pokemon cards were that hard to come by, that they would cause fights. But apparently it's happened, and Target said they don't want any of that. They don't want any part of that, and so they've just decided, the way to stop fights is just stop selling Pokemon cards. So if you want to get Pokemon cards, you're gonna have to go somewhere else.
And the Switch has now cracked a new milestone since our last podcast. It now is the Nintendo's 4th best-selling console. That includes both handhelds and home consoles. It just passed the Game Boy Advance. So over the last thing, the sales have jumped at least like 21 some million units. That ended at the March 2020, and pretty much that they look like there will be figuring another match of the amount sold for the next fiscal year as well. So there's a potentially a Switch Pro that obviously could lead into this. Could help further the sales further, but yeah, great job, Nintendo Switch, taking spot number 4 on Nintendo's sales list.
Nice. Where will they stop? Well, probably depends if this actual like Switch Pro and Switch 2 or Super Switch or whatever ends up coming out, I guess. But
new
right
Nintendo
now,
Switch Super Pro.
That's right. New Nintendo Switch Super Pro. Yep. 2. But
Wii U, 64 DS.
That's right. All the above. So that's the headlines. That's the news. That's what's been happening over the last month. Before we get into talking about what we are going to be playing and what games are going to be coming out over the next couple weeks, I just want to remind you once again, if you have not followed us on social media, be sure to do that. And you can find us at NintendoFuse on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And you can also, of course, join our Discord. We'd love for you to join the discussion in between episodes. We absolutely love chatting games with you guys. So if you haven't done that, you'll see the link on the screen if you're watching the video version of this on YouTube, but you can also find it in the show notes on your podcast apps and services as well. Speaking of which, if you haven't liked the podcast, the video version on YouTube, you haven't subscribed, you haven't shared this with other people, this is a chance to do that. Also, if you haven't left us a positive review, like on iTunes or whatever podcast app you use, that's just our request to you. Just do that for us, because that helps us to be kind of rise up to the top of the charts a little bit. Not because we want to be whatever, but it just helps other people find the podcast. So when you leave a positive review, that helps other people find it, in addition to how you share this with other people. So if you enjoy what you've been hearing, watching on the podcast, that's just a little bit of a way that you can help us continue to do this for you guys. You can also actually, we don't do this very much, but we're going to plug our merch. You can buy merch actually with NintendoFuse logos and stuff on it. So if you head to NintendoFuse.com, you'll see the merch link there, and you can buy yourself a t-shirt. And we got some other things as well, mugs, and even some stuff for your dog. So make sure you check that out as well if you'd like to support us here at NintendoFuse. Of course, everything we do here is free, but if you want to give back, those are some ways to be able to do that, both some free ways, and also if you want to throw us a little bit of money, we won't say no to it at all. But let's talk about what's going to be, not what we have been, but what we're going to be doing over the next couple weeks until the next podcast episode on June 1st. There's a few games coming out. I'm going to scroll some on the screen right now. Some of the notable ones that you'll see are Miitopia coming out on May 21st. Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remastered comes out on May 24th. World's End Club on May 28th. Wonder Boy Asha in Monster World comes out on May 28th. But several other games that maybe will stand out to you as you're watching the video version. You'll see all those streaming on the screen. But Barry, any of these games that are coming out over the next couple of weeks stand out to you? You're hopefully going to be playing over the next couple of weeks.
I tell you, I've been spoiled by these weeks of nothing that it's like, all right, I can work on what I want to work on, because this is a hell of a week, or a hell of a couple weeks. Miitopia, I never got a chance to play it on the 3DS. Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, really want to play that. World End Club, I am so excited for that game, and same with Wonder Boy. All of those are phenomenal games, and what sucks is I'm in the middle of doing Danganronpa, so I am trying to finish 2, and I've got Final Fantasy 14, a brand new patch with new content coming next week, which is what I'm planning for that week. And I don't know if I'll take a break from Danganronpa to maybe do World's End Club, and then go back to Danganronpa V3 and another story or another episode, or I'll say I'm putting everything on hold and just plow through, but that might push things back, especially with E3 right around the corner. I don't know. It's so many games to play, so little time, but what an amazing week. And I'm sure you're all looking at me like, those games don't interest me at all. You have terrible taste, but I'm excited for those games, even though I'm probably not going to get to play them right away.
Nice. Greg, how about you?
Probably not too much from this list, unfortunately. I didn't play Miitopia the first time around. I don't think it still quite sold me yet. So I think there is a demo that I might actually end up having to check out just to make sure that I follow that through. But with that Dragon Quest stream coming up, it's really making me want to play the second and third installment that I had also downloaded a few months back. And then hopefully even jump back into 11, which has been sadly neglected since I got it. So I barely made it very far in there, and I feel really bad that I haven't got to enjoy that latest adventure. So probably nothing new from this list. It's more diving into the games I'm putting off.
Nice. Yeah, I went back and forth on Miitopia quite a bit. I still don't know how I feel about it overall, but I'm glad I do have the demo, so I will be checking out the demo for sure. And I'm glad that I can check it out and see what it's all about. I don't know if it's going to be my thing or not, but we'll see. The other games, probably won't be checking them out. I did see Knockout City is also coming out for free on the May 21st, so I'll probably be checking out because it's free. The game
That's
seems
your alley, anyways.
yeah, but it also seems so dumb though too. Like it maybe something I enjoy, but it also is like I don't know. We'll see. But again, it's free, so I'm all for checking out free games for sure. Like you give it to me for free, I'll definitely check it out. But yeah, the rest of the games on the list, I don't know. I think I am intrigued by World's End Club. I don't think it's going to be something I play, but I think it's going to be something I'll look into. I'm interested to see what you think of it, Barry, for sure. And it might be one of those games that kind of like after you get some time with it, I'll talk to you about it and say, hey, what'd you like, what'd you not like, and if you really enjoy it, it might be something I pick up later down the road. But it's not going to be something that I jump on right away. Yeah. Looks like Jakester is also going to be playing some more Xenoblade and maybe get back to Dragon Quest 11. Yeah, if you haven't let us know what you're hoping to play in the chat, be sure to do that. Also, let us know in the comments later. We'd love to hear what you guys are hoping to play, and we can chat about those in our Discord and social media as well. Like we said earlier, I'd love to chat about all that stuff you're playing in there. So yeah, other than that, I'm not doing a whole lot. Oh, looks like Jaster says there's also a demo for World's End Club. So
Yes,
that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be playing a whole bunch of free games and demos over the next couple of weeks. Says might as well check them all out. So thanks, Jakester. I didn't realize there was the demo for that. So yeah, I'll check that out as well. I've said it before. I wish they would do some sort of demo for pretty much every game. I would check them all out. At least a lot more games out than I normally would. And it probably convinced me because there's only so much you can get from like a video. You get some hands-on with the games. So said he talked about it in Discord. So cool.
Yeah.
Another plug to join our Discord. And
Yes, we
yeah,
did talk about it.
cool.
With all those demo discussion, I completely forgot about the 2 demos that I played like, at the beginning of the podcast. So I did try the Triangle Strategy demo.
You? Man, we've talked about so much.
Demo.
That is very true.
Yeah. But I wasn't going to dive into it. I was just saying I was playing 2 demos. Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of episode 229. We'll be back on June 1st for a live recording of episode 230, where we're going to be, of course, talking about what we've been playing and jump into an additional game chat. Barry, you want to give us a little hint about what we're going to be talking about next time, or are we going to keep it a secret?
I mean, I can talk about it. That's no big deal. So last episode I did a game called Legend of Talia Arcadia, which the developers have reached out to me, and they had their follow-up game, which is called Sakura Succubus, and that came out, and they actually reached out to me again today that there's a sequel, Sakura Succubus 2. So my plan is to play both of those games for next episode and do a game chat for both of those episodes.
Cool. Yeah, so we'll be wrapping up, and we'll be back on June 1st. Before we do that, any final thoughts, Greg? Anything that you're looking forward to doing or playing, or anything we want to say before we wrap up?
Pretty much, I'll just be looking forward to playing more Dragon Quest, and maybe you guys didn't hear me, but I did play like Triangle Strategy and Balan Underworld demos when we were talking about all those demos. So,
oh god, what did you think of Balan Wonderworld? I got to hear this quickly.
I was not very good at all. I don't like having to change through the different move sets like on the fly, and if you die and you lose the move set, and you might want to keep it, and I don't know. It seemed like a pretty bad version of a Collectathon.
I think everyone needs to play that demo.
I totally forgot about it. I was going to play it. I think I talked about it on the last podcast, and I was like hoping to play it, and I totally forgot about it. So maybe I will. We'll see. Yeah, Barry. Anything else coming up that you want to talk about before we wrap up today?
Yeah. So As for those of you that know that I am part of Premium Edition Games, and we have 2 of our games out. Our first 2 titles are out, and our retro and deluxe versions of our second game, Pigeon Dev Game Collection, should be out shortly. So hopefully people who order that will get them. But we do have a special announcement coming soon, which will most likely be out before our next podcast. So I will talk about it on the next podcast. But I'll say stay tuned to our social media because we do have something really cool to show off, and I think people are going to really like it.
Nice. Cool. Looks like we may have some issues on YouTube. I don't really know, but we'll see. Everything's good on our end, so if you're having issues here at the end, it's okay because we're wrapping up anyway. But if you do have some issues, hopefully you'll be able to catch it later. You can log back on and watch the recorded version or download the audio as well. But yeah, that brings us to the end of episode 229. Like we said, we'll be back live on June 1st to be able to talk about a lot more E3 stuff. There's going to be a ton to cover, so get ready for that, and we'll be back on June 1st. But until then, happy gaming, everybody.
Have a good one.
Happy gaming.